All right, so we have the women's Canadian roster dropping for their friendly versus Spain coming at the end of the month. Not really disappointed. Was hoping for a little bit more movement on it, but let's talk about the roster. Again, we do Canadian and African content. So if you like that stuff, give us a subscribe, like, comment, all the fun stuff. So we have Simia Wujo, Janine Becky, Kadisha Buchanan, Gabrielle Carroll, Sabrina D'Angelo, Jessie Fleming, Vanessa Gilles, Julia Grosso, Jordan Whitema, Chloe Lacasse, Ashley Lawrence, Adriana Leon, Lucienne Prune, Michelle Prince, Emma Reagan, Jade Rose, Deanne Rose, Kaylin Sheridan, Olivia Smith, Evelyn Vienne, and Shalina Zadorsky. They are playing a Spanish side, which just won the World Cup, finished fourth at the Olympics. I think looking at this roster, it's a one-game window, which I think that's where I'm more disappointed in. Morocco is right there. There's other sides that are right there, but they chose not. Jamaica is playing France and South Africa, but Canada only got Spain. Maybe there's still maybe there's still clouds over the program just because of the drone gates and such. But I think for a Spanish game, this is always interesting when we get to friendlies. In my mind, I always think, what are you trying to get out of this? Right? And to me, you have this roster. It's basically the Olympic roster with Olivia Smith and Emma Reagan. No Nichelle. No, I'm sorry. No Desiree Scott, who just announced her retirement. So congrats to you, Desi, on that. A fine career that she's had. But I find that in this type of a game, what are you trying to come out and know? Are you trying to see how your 11 stacks up against Spain? That could be one thing to look at. I think for me, I'm looking to see, is it possible how this team, or really some of these players, stack up to this level of a competition? The last time we saw them play Spain was at the Arnold Clark Cup, and that was a 1-0 game. Famously, you saw, I think it was the last time I saw significant minutes of Marie-Yasmine Alidou, who, we're not going to go into her, you know how I feel about that player. Should have been brought in. But now she's in a spot where you're going to start bringing new players, younger players, and maybe she's missed your opportunity because you kept on relying on other players in that sense. Now, stability is not a terrible idea this time, but I think looking at against Spain, this would be the ideal time to see, okay, how does a Simi stack up against this type of a team? How does an Olivia look like against this team? And unfortunately, there's not many questions in terms of, okay, depth and unknowns that we'd like to see against top competition, because this side is still a veteran side. And I think the only major concern is, because there is no coach, are they going to do the same thing they did for the last World Cup cycle, which is hold on to a generation or to a group for one cycle too long? Now, you might argue this cycle, this team, they're still good players, they're still into prime, but maybe you need some dynamic play off the bench, and Olivia Smith could provide that. But I mean, a Geneva Hernandez Gray, for example, would have been an ideal player to bring into the squad. But to me, that's the big thing. I want to see what I don't know, and that's the biggest disappointment. Is a lot of the players here I'm familiar with their game, right? And so playing against Spain, even if they get a victory against Spain, a win versus Spain would just say, okay, this is a team, they're galvanized, we can build off of this. But anything else, not to be pessimistic, I'm looking at this thing. I really would like to see what this squad looks like, what this depth could do. And the only players that we can really say, hey, can we discover something new? Emma Reagan, Olivia Smith, Simi Awujo. Maybe we have a better conversation about who's going to play better as a 9. Maybe it's you give Evelyn Vienne another run as leading the line with a Chloe Lacasse out wide, with a Janine Becky. Excuse me. Maybe that's something that they test out against the side and see what is possible. But it will be very interesting. Spain is going to be a tough side. They will find themselves defending for long periods and stretches of this match. I think for me, I'm curious to see, are they able to really get anything out of this? Their European players starting to look and get into form. Their North American-based players are looking to get ready for the playoffs, so they'd like to be in some good form as well. Injuries is the one thing to keep an eye on. I don't think anyone's harboring any major knocks, but it is something to keep an eye on in terms of games coming through. But you have Spain versus Canada, October 25th. Are you excited about the roster? What are you looking to get out of this? For me, I don't want to just narrow down to three specific people, but to me, I think it's a success if we know how an Emma Reagan plays, how a Lydia Smith plays, and how a Simi Rougeau plays against this type of competition. Those to me are my three things, because everyone else I feel I have a grasp of what they are, and I think I'd be very curious to see what the other players are able to do as well. So we'll leave it at that, and as per always, guys, I'll just stop talking now.
Now, of note, Chloe Cass had an injury scare, but because of that, no ACL. We're fortunate, but she will not be joining the squad, meaning Mimi Yasmin Alidou, Marie Yasmin Alidou, will be replacing her on the roster, playing with the national team. It'll be interesting to see what she brings to the table, wondering where they play her. But yeah, that's the last update. All right, I'll stop talking now.